I just need to win back $500, I whispered. By closing time, I owed the casino thousands. My name is Tommy. I'm 34, a warehouse supervisor, and I sleep on the floor of an empty studio now. 6 months ago, my daughter practiced her therapy exercises next to me while I made her promises I believed I could keep. It started with $500 for her medicine. Not mine to gamble, hers to heal with. But the table was hot that Friday night, and I knew the patterns. I'd been playing for 3 years, careful, controlled. Never more than I could afford to lose. The dealer nodded when I sat down. Same seat, same strategy. Win 60, lose 40. I knew the rhythm. But medicine costs $420, and I was already down to my last 100. That's when they mentioned the credit line. Just to back up. Just this once. The papers took 12 minutes to sign. 3,000 in chips felt lighter than real money. By midnight, I was up 1,200, enough to pay it all back and walk away whole. My hands were steady. My system was working. I didn't walk away. Let me tell you what happens in those 3 hours between winning everything and losing more than you have. When a father whispers just 500 more while his sick child sleeps at home, which runs out first? His luck, his money, or his last chance to be the parent she needs? The $500 felt thick in my wallet, each $20 bill crisp from the ATM. I counted them twice at my kitchen table while Emma practiced her physical therapy on the pull-out couch, her face tight with concentration as she lifted her left leg against the resistance band we'd bought at Walmart for $12. Hold it for 5 more seconds, baby, I said, folding the bills back into my wallet. You're getting stronger. The rubber band slipped off her foot and snapped against the coffee table. Emma's eyes welled up, not from pain, but from frustration. 6 months since the surgery, and we were still using makeshift equipment because insurance called specialized therapy bands non-essential. Essential was the surgeon's fee. Essential was the hospital stay. Everything else was on us. The kids at school asked why I walk funny. Emma said, adjusting the band for another try. Mia said I look like a robot. I moved to sit beside her on the couch, felt the springs protest under our combined weight. The studio apartment seemed smaller every day, 330 square feet that smelled like the Campbell's tomato soup we'd had for dinner. Mia's an idiot, I said, then caught myself. Sorry, Mia doesn't understand. You're not walking funny. You're walking brave. Emma smiled, the gap where her front tooth had fallen out last week making her look younger than 11. I'd promised. The tooth fairy would bring $5, then forgotten until morning and had to slip the bill under her pillow while she was in the bathroom. Will Mom be at my therapy appointment Tuesday? She asked. She's got work, I said. Sarah always had work now that Brad had promoted her to office manager at his real estate firm. She'd sent the $500 this morning, her monthly contribution, to Emma's expenses while our daughter recovered at my place. Brad didn't want a sick kid around, she'd explained during one of our tense phone calls. Too much disruption in their new house with the pool and 3-car garage. Emma practiced for another 20 minutes, and I helped her count reps, watching the clock on the microwave. 7:30. Mrs. Chun would be here soon. You're going out? Emma asked when she saw me putting on my good shoes, the black ones I wore to the warehouse on days when corporate visited. Just for a little bit. Meeting some friends. She nodded, used to Friday nights when Mrs. Chun came over. 3 years of Friday nights. Ever since the divorce was final and I'd needed somewhere to go that wasn't this apartment. Somewhere that felt like possibility instead of reduction. Mrs. Chun knocked at 7:45, always punctual. She was 60-something, supplemented her retirement by watching kids in the building. $40 for the night. 60 if I was later than 2 a.m. You look tired, Tommy, she said, accepting the 220s I'd separated from the 500. Her eyes took in the apartment. Emma's medical supplies organized on the kitchen counter, the stack of past due notices I'd turned face down, the bare walls where I'd sold my flat screen last month. Just a long week at the warehouse, I said. Emma had already queued up Netflix on my phone, curled into her corner of the pull-out with the stuffed elephant she'd gotten at the hospital gift shop. I kissed her forehead, tasted the children's Tylenol on her skin from her evening dose. 10 o'clock medicine is on the counter, I told Mrs. Chun. The white pills, not the blue ones. She needs them with food. I know, Tommy. Go have fun with your friends. Friends. That's what I'd called it for 3 years. Just hanging out with friends. unwinding after a week of loading trucks and signing manifests and pretending I wasn't drowning in medical bills that arrived faster than paychecks. I checked my wallet one more time in the hallway. $500. Enough for Emma's prescriptions on Monday, enough for her therapy copay Tuesday, maybe even enough for a real set of resistance bands from the medical supply store. The Ford Taurus coughed to life in the parking lot. Black smoke visible in the security light. The temperature gauge crept toward red as I climbed the incline on Interstate 10. The Taurus had been running hot for months, but a new radiator cost $300 I didn't have. I kept a gallon of water in the trunk, stopped every few days to top it off, told myself it was temporary like everything else. The exit for Children's Hospital came up on my right. For months we'd practically lived there. Emma in a bed that cost more per day than I made in a week. Me in a chair that left my back screaming, both of us pretending to be brave. I'd taught her to play go fish with the deck the nurses gave us, the IVs making it hard for her to hold the cards. Now she was home, sort of. A pull-out couch wasn't home. Home was the 3-bedroom ranch we'd had before the divorce, before I'd put Emma's college fund on red and watched it disappear. Radio static filled the car between stations. Classic rock came through in patches. Boston, Journey, the same songs that had played during my first drive to San Manuel 3 years ago. That night, I'd only brought $50, cash I could afford to lose. Just wanted to get out, to breathe somewhere that wasn't the apartment where Sarah's absence felt like a presence. 140 that first night. Lost it the next Friday. The Friday after that, I brought a 100.my phone buzzed in the cup holder. Sarah's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Already knew what it was about. Monday's custody hearing. Brad had found a lawyer who specialized in custody modification based on changed circumstances. Changed circumstances meant I was behind on support. Meant Emma was sleeping on a couch. Meant Brad could provide stability and resources for optimal recovery. The casino billboard appeared through the smog, where winners play, in gold letters. 40 feet high. The parking lot was packed for a Friday night. Some concert at the amphitheater next door letting out. I parked in the employee section, needed the walk to settle my nerves. Tommy, the security guard at the entrance, remembered me, like they all did after 3 years. Lakers are up by 12. They'll blow it in the fourth, I said, forcing a smile. The casino air hit me as the doors opened. Recycled oxygen, cigarette smoke they couldn't quite filter out, the underlying smell of desperation masked by piped-in freshness. The sounds came next, slots singing their electronic songs, the waterfall of chips at the craps table, someone whooping at a jackpot. All of it designed to sound like winning. I walked the familiar path to the blackjack tables. Muscle memory by now. Past the penny slots where the oldest gamblers sat with their oxygen tanks. Past the high-limit room I'd never enter. Past the bar where drinks were free if you were playing and $14 if you weren't. Marcus was dealing at table 7. He looked up as I approached, gave me the slight nod that served as our entire relationship. 3 years of Fridays, and I didn't know if he had kids, where he lived, what he did on his nights off. He knew my betting patterns, my tells, my preferred seat. That was enough. Third position was open. My spot. Some players were superstitious about dealers, some about tables. I was superstitious about seats. Third position meant I could see enough cards to count loosely, not that I was any good at it. It meant I acted before the dealer's decisions mattered most. It meant I could pretend I had control. Donna was already there, heavy woman from Fontana, who drove 40 minutes each way to play. She was complaining about her daughter's wedding to the player next to her. $20,000 for a venue, $3,000 for flowers, all of it on credit cards she'd pay off when her luck turned. The professor sat at first position, studying his laminated basic strategy card between hands. Vietnamese guy, maybe 60, never varied from the mathematics. Won slow, lost slow, never tilted. I pulled out $200, kept $300. In reserve, my rule for 3 years. Never put it all on the table at once. Always have a cushion. The rules that made me feel like I wasn't really gambling, just playing a game with expensive pieces. Marcus took my cash, counted it with practiced efficiency. Changing 200, he announced to the pit boss. The chips came across. 8. Green 25s. They clicked when I stacked them, a sound that still made my pulse quicken after all these years. Third position's been hot tonight, Donna said. Guy before you walked with 800. Marcus dealt the first hand. I put down 20, got 11, doubled down. Marcus showed 21. The Taurus's temperature gauge flashed in my mind. Just another warning light to ignore that I was up $60 after the first 3 hands. The cards falling in that rhythm that made you believe the universe had patterns you could read. Basic strategy, minimum bets, the discipline I'd taught myself from YouTube videos and library books. Donna kept talking about the wedding, how her daughter wanted baby's breath in every centerpiece, how the groom's family wasn't contributing a dime. Kids don't understand what things cost, she said, lighting another cigarette. They think money just appears. The professor said nothing, just tapped the felt for another card, stood on 17, watched his $20 bet disappear into Marcus's tray with no change in expression that a drunk kid stumbled up to first position, college-aged, wearing a USC sweatshirt that probably cost more than my weekly groceries. He threw 300 in crumpled 20s on the felt, laughing with his friends who hung behind him like a cheering section. "Let's fucking go," he shouted, then looked around. Guilty, like his mother might appear, Marcus changed the bills without expression, dealt the next hand. The kid got a pair of 10s, split them. "No," the professor said quietly. "Never split 10s. I'm feeling it," the kid said, putting down another bet. He hit 17 on the first 10, busted. Hit 15 on the second, busted. His friends stopped cheering, the table's rhythm broke. The kid started hitting on 14ths, standing on soft 17ths, making every wrong move with absolute confidence. The cards went cold for everyone, like his bad decisions were contagious. I lost 3 hands straight, down to even. Donna muttered something about fucking tourists and moved to another table that I should have followed her. 3 years of Fridays had taught me to recognize when a table turned, when to walk away and reset. But third position was my seat, and leaving felt like admitting the kid had power over my night that I raised my bet to 40, trying to push through the cold streak. Lost. 60. Lost. Back to 20. Lost again. The pit boss appeared with a clipboard, checking on Marcus, making notes. She smiled at me, another familiar face, and held out a voucher. "Buffet's open until midnight if you want to take a break, Tommy." A break. That's what I needed. Stand up, walk around, let the kid burn through his trust fund while I ate overcooked prime rib and reconsidered. But the voucher felt like consolation. Like the casino already knew I was losing and wanted to keep me happy enough to continue. "I'm good," I said. "Thanks, though." The kid lost his last 100 trying to double down on 12 against the dealer's 6. His friends pulled him away, heading toward the bar to regroup. The table settled, just me and the professor and Marcus's careful hands shuffling for a fresh shoe. I was down to 100 of the original 200. Half my stake gone in 45 minutes. Emma's prescription money still safe in my wallet, but the math was getting complicated. $420 for the pills, $200 for therapy, $40 I'd already given Mrs. Chun, $60 for gas and groceries until my next paycheck. The $500 wasn't really $500 at all. A woman in scrubs sat down where Donna had been. Looked exhausted. Her badge said Arrowhead Regional, ICU. She bought in for $100, played mechanical $20 hands while staring at nothing. "Long shift?" I asked. 12 hours. 2 codes, one didn't make it. 19-year-old, motorcycle versus semi. She took a pull from her beer. "You know what his last words were? Tell my mom I'm sorry about the bike." Marcus dealt. I got 11 again, doubled down, trying to recapture that early rhythm. 21. A $40 win that felt like breathing after being underwater. The nurse lost, didn't seem to notice. The professor won, added a single green chip to his neat stack. "I see a lot of gambling addiction in the ICU," the nurse said, almost to herself. "Not the gambling itself, but what comes after. Suicide attempts. Mostly pills. Sometimes worse." "That's heavy," I said, uncomfortable. "We're just unwinding here." She looked at me then, really looked, and I saw her taking in details. The wear on my shoes, the casino player's card I'd placed beside my chips, the way I'd counted and recounted my remaining stack. "Sure," she said, "just unwinding." I won the next hand, lost the next 3. Down to my last 50. The 300 in my wallet felt like it was calling to me. Sarah's money for Emma's care. Not mine to play with. Not mine at all. The nurse colored up her remaining chips, left a $5 tip for Marcus. "Be careful," she said to me. "Not good luck. Not see you around." Be careful. I watched her walk away, probably heading home to sleep before another 12-hour shift of trying to save people from their worst decisions. The professor won another hand, slow and steady. Marcus shuffled, the cards whispering against each other. I looked at my last 50 in chips. Then I looked at Marcus, and for the first time in 3 years, I asked the question that changed everything. How does the credit work here? Marcus's hands never stopped shuffling, but something shifted in his eyes. Not surprise, not judgment. Recognition. Like he'd been waiting 3 years for me to ask. I can get the floor manager, he said quietly, if you want to learn about it. Down to my last 100, I did what I'd sworn I wouldn't. Reached for the 300 in my wallet. Sarah's money. Emma's money. The bills felt different than the casino's chips, heavier with responsibility. But the math kept running in my head. Win 2 hands at 50 each, I'm back to even. Win 3, I'm ahead. The table had to turn sometime. Change. 300. Marcus announced when I laid the bills on the felt. The pit boss glanced over, made a note. 3 years of $20 bets, and now I was buying in for real money. Marcus slid 12 green chips across, and I stacked them beside my dwindling pile, trying to look confident. The nurse was gone, but her warning hung in the air. The professor doubled down on 11, 1, his chip stack growing with mechanical precision. A new player sat down. Woman in a blazer, looked like she'd come straight from an office somewhere. She bought in for 500 without blinking. I bet 50. Got a 16 against Marcus's 10. The book said hit. I hit. 23. Bust. Tough beat, the woman said, not looking up from her phone. I bet 50 again. 13 against the dealer's 5. Stay. Marcus flipped a 10, then a 6. 21. The chips disappeared into his tray with that soft click that meant money becoming nothing. Down to 200. Half the grocery and prescription money gone. In 10 minutes. You okay? The professor asked. First time he'd spoken to me directly in 3 years. Just a cold streak. I said. He studied me over his glasses. Cold streaks are just mathematics. The cards don't know you're losing. But they felt like they knew. Every hand seemed personally crafted to build hope, then crush it. 19 when Marcus had 20. 20 when he had 21. Doubling down on 11 to catch a 3. I raised to 100, trying to win it back faster. The blazer woman watched me from the corner of her eye. The professor went back to his strategy card. Marcus dealt with the same steady rhythm. No tells. No mercy. 17. I stayed. Marcus had 18. Down to my last 100. The emergency fund depleted. Nothing left but the original gambling money I'd started with. My hands shook slightly as I pushed it all forward. All in? Marcus asked, protocol requiring verbal confirmation. Yeah. The cards came out slow, or maybe that was just my perception. A jack, then an 8. 18. Decent hand. Marcus showed. A 7. He flipped his whole card. 10. 17. I was going to win, going to get back to. He dealt himself another card. For 21. The chips disappeared. The felt in front of me was empty except for the player's card with my name on it. $350 gone. Emma's medication money transformed into nothing. Tough night. The blazer woman said, still not looking up. Marcus was already shuffling for the next hand. The game continuing without me. The professor won another $20. The universe kept spinning. I sat there for a moment, trying to process what had just happened. 3 years of discipline, of walking away when I was down, of never touching money that wasn't mine to lose. All of it erased in an hour. You can rebuy, Marcus said quietly, so the others wouldn't hear. The casino offers credit lines for established players. The credit office was tucked behind the high-limit slots, designed to look like a bank instead of what it was. Beige walls, fluorescent lights that hummed, a desk that could have belonged to any loan officer in America. Diane sat behind it, 40-something with kind eyes and a southern accent that made her seem trustworthy. Mr. Reeves, she said, pulling up my account on her computer. 3 years of play, very consistent. How can I help you tonight? The office smelled like vanilla candles trying to mask something institutional. Same smell as the billing office. At Children's Hospital where I'd signed payment plans I couldn't afford. I need a credit line, I said. The words felt like stepping off a cliff. Of course. Based on your play history and a quick credit check, I can offer you up to $3,000 tonight. She slid papers across the desk. The terms are straightforward. 29% APR, First payment due in 30 days. Gaming debts are legally enforceable in California. I thought about Emma on the pull-out couch, practicing with resistance bands that wouldn't stay in place. Thought about Sarah's text about the custody hearing, Brad's lawyer who'd paint me as an unfit father. Thought about the empty felt in front of my seat at Marcus's table. How long does approval take? About 12 minutes. I just need employment verification, bank information, and your signature on these forms. Employment verification. I wrote down my supervisor's name at the warehouse, my salary that hadn't increased in 2 years. $38,000 before taxes, before child support, before everything. Diane typed without comment. Bank account. I gave her my checking account number. Didn't mention it had $43 in it until my Tuesday paycheck. Didn't mention the savings account I'd closed last month to pay for Emma's MRI. Any other debts we should know about? Some medical bills, I said. Technically true. Didn't mention the bankruptcy 8 years ago when my mother was dying. The missed child support payments. The final notice from the electric company folded in my glove compartment. Diane's fingers clicked across the keyboard. Her expression didn't change, but something in her posture shifted. She was seeing it all. The credit score, the collection accounts, the pattern of someone drowning in slow motion. Mr. Reeves, she said gently, I can approve $3,000, but I want to make sure you understand the terms. This is a loan, not free money. The casino will collect. I understand. She looked at me for a long moment. Do you want to think about it? Maybe take a walk, get some air. No, I said. I'm good. More papers. Signatures. Initials. Each one feeling like another step away from the person who'd walked in with $500 meant for his daughter's care. How's your family? Diane asked while the printer worked. They're fine. Kids. A daughter. 11. That's a nice age. My boy's 13 now, thinks he knows everything. The printer finished. She handed me a voucher for $3,000, the paper warm from the machine. Good luck, Mr. Reeves. Remember, you can cash out anytime. No shame in walking away ahead. I folded the voucher, put it in my wallet where Sarah's $500 had been. Diane was already looking past me to the next person waiting, another Friday night regular ready to sign their future away in 12-minute increments. Walking back through the casino, everything looked different. The lights seemed brighter, the sound sharper. $3,000. Enough to win back what I'd lost, pay for Emma's needs, maybe even get ahead. Marcus had fresh decks ready when I returned. The table was empty except for the nurse who'd come back, apparently unable to follow her own warnings. The chips felt different with credit, lighter, less real, like playing with borrowed time. $3,000 stacked in front of me, green and black towers that meant everything and nothing. The nurse looked at my chips, then at my face, and I saw her understand exactly what had happened in the 20 minutes I'd been gone. Credit line? She asked. Just a backup, I said, stacking and restacking the chips. Rough streak earlier. Marcus dealt without comment. I was alone with him now, the nurse just watching, not playing. First hand, blackjack. Paid 1.5 times my $40 bet. The universe apologizing for earlier, or setting me up for something worse. I won the next 3 hands. Up 200, 250, 300. The rhythm was back, that feeling like I could read the cards before they came. 400 up, 500. The math singing in my head. Pay back the 3,000, pocket 500 profit. Emma gets her medicine and proper therapy equipment. Nice. Run, the nurse said. 600 up. 7, 8. Other players starting to gather, drawn by the energy of winning. An older couple sat down, matching Hawaiian shirts like they were on vacation. A young woman in a cocktail dress, probably waiting for someone. They all bought in, wanting to ride my wake. 900 up. 1,000. Marcus reshuffled, and I should have known that was the universe's way of saying enough. But I was flying now, chips breeding chips, every decision correct. I raised my bet to 100, then 200. Won both. 1,200 up. More than enough. I started to stack my chips to leave. You're not going now, the Hawaiian shirt man said. Not when you're hot. Table's finally paying out. His wife added. 1,300. The cocktail dress woman cheered when I won another double. Down. We were a team now, strangers bonded by proximity to luck. I ordered a Corona, then another. The waitress comped them, smiling like she knew me. Mrs. Chin texted at 1 a.m. Emma asked if you're winning. I texted back. Yes. It wasn't a lie. I was up 1,400. The chips were right there, physical proof. I could cash out now, pay the marker, walk away with profit. Emma's medication paid for, therapy covered, maybe even a real bed for her instead of the pullout. One more shoe, I told Marcus. Then I'm out. He nodded, shuffled. The Hawaiian couple high-fived when they won. The cocktail dress woman ordered champagne for the table. The nurse had disappeared again, probably back to her shift, saving people from themselves. Marcus announced his break at 1:30. Standard rotation, 20 minutes. The replacement dealer was Christina, young, chatty, asked about the Lakers game. While she shuffled, "You guys are crushing it," she said, looking at our chips. First hand with her, I lost. Second, lost. The Hawaiian man split tens and won both. I lost again. The energy shifted, luck moving around the table but avoiding me. Down to 1,000 profit. 800. Sorry, Christina said, like it was personal. Cards are weird tonight. 500 profit. 300. Even. I was back where I'd started with the credit line, 3,000 in chips that weren't really mine. The cocktail dress woman left, taking her champagne energy with her. The Hawaiian couple started bickering about bet sizes. I should have left then, cashed out at even. But Christina kept apologizing and I kept thinking the next hand would turn it around. Down 200. 500. The table had gone cold, or maybe it was just cold for me. The Hawaiian man won. Another 5 hands straight while I lost every one. Down 1,000 from the original 3,000 credit. Marcus is coming back, Christina announced cheerfully, like that would fix everything. But it didn't matter who was dealing. The cards had made their decision. By the time Marcus returned, I was down to my last 1,000 in chips, the credit. Line 2/3 gone, and the night pressing against the windows like a living thing. Marcus returned to find me down to my last 1,000. The table now empty except for an older woman who'd appeared while I was losing. She played perfect basic strategy, never varied her $20 bet. Watched my implosion with clinical detachment. "Welcome back," I said to Marcus, trying to sound casual. He just nodded, began shuffling. The woman won her hand, added the chip to her neat stack. I bet 200, got 15 against his king. Hit. 22. Bust. Down to 800. My phone buzzed. "Mrs. Chun, it's past 2. Overtime rates now. $20 extra I didn't have." I turned the phone face down, bet another 200. 19. Marcus had 20,600 left. The older woman spoke without looking at me. "You're chasing." "I'm playing," I said. "There's a difference." She was right, but being right didn't make the chips reappear. I bet 300, half my remaining stack. Got 11, doubled down with my last 300. The 600 became 1,200. For a moment, suspended in possibility. I pulled a 5. 16. Marcus showed a 10, flipped a jack. 20. Everything gone. 3,000 in credit evaporated in 90 minutes. "Rough beat," Marcus said quietly. I sat there staring at the empty felt where 1,200 in profit had been an hour ago. The older woman continued her mechanical $20 bets, grinding out small wins and losses. The casino around us hummed with its eternal promise, neither celebrating my loss nor mourning it. "I need another credit increase," I heard myself say. Marcus glanced at the pit boss, who was already on the phone. "Diane can see you again." The walk back to the credit office felt longer this time. My legs were heavy, like walking through water. The Hawaiian couple passed me, heading to the cashier with their winnings. The husband nodded, the wife avoided eye contact. They knew what I was doing. Diane was still there, processing another player's paperwork. She looked tired now, the kindness in her eyes replaced with something closer to resignation. "Mr. Reeves, back so soon. I need another 2,000. She pulled up my account, saw the 3,000 already gone. Her fingers hesitated over the keyboard. "That would put you at 5,000 total. That's our maximum for your income level." "I'm good for it." She studied me, and I wondered how many times she'd heard those exact words, in this exact tone, from people who were definitely not good for it. "Mr. Reeves, it's 2:45 in the morning. You've lost 3,000 in 90 minutes. Maybe this is a good time too. I just need 2,000 more." She sighed, pulled out new paperwork. "I need to verify some additional information. Your credit shows a bankruptcy 8 years ago. My mother had cancer, medical bills, and current employment status. Same as before. Warehouse supervisor. Any additional income? Some overtime. Not mentioning it barely covered the interest on Emma's medical bills. She typed, waited, typed more. The system was deciding if I was worth the risk, algorithms calculating my desperation against my ability to pay. I can approve 2,000 more, but Mr. Reeves, this is your absolute limit. The payments will be $500 a month, starting in 30 days. The casino will pursue collection aggressively if you default. I signed where she pointed, initialed where she indicated. Each signature felt like signing away pieces of a future I couldn't quite see. Can I ask you something? Diane said as she processed the voucher. Sure. What are you trying to win back? Everything, I wanted to say. My daughter's medical care, her respect, my ex-wife's trust, the father I used to think I was. Instead, I said, just had a bad night. This'll turn it around. She handed me the voucher. 2,000 more in casino credit. 5,000 total. Oh, be careful, Mr. Reeves. 3 a.m., and the casino had changed. The festive Friday night crowd was gone, replaced by the serious gamblers, the desperate, the people who couldn't stop. I recognized myself in their faces now. The hollow eyes, the mechanical movements, the way they counted and recounted their chips as if the math might change. Marcus's table was full when I returned with my new chips. The older woman still there, still playing her $20 hands. Two young guys celebrating something, drunk and loud. A man in a wrinkled suit who looked like he'd come straight from work 12 hours ago. I waited for third position to open, watched the cards fall. The drunk guys were winning, whooping with each hand, tipping Marcus extravagantly. The suit was losing steadily, quietly, adding marker after marker to his stack of debt. Finally, the older woman colored up, left with exactly $40 more than she'd started with. Seat's warm, she said to me, but not lucky. I sat down, with my 2,000, trying to feel confident. The drunk guys high-fived me like we were old friends. The suit didn't look up from his dwindling chips. First hand, 17. Stayed. Marcus busted. A good start. There we go, one of the drunk guys shouted. Tables turning. I won the next two hands, small bets while I found rhythm. Up 200. 300. The suit lost his last chip, walked away without a word. Another player immediately took his place. A woman who'd been crying in the bathroom, mascara streaks still visible. Deal me in, she said, throwing 500 on the table. Just left my husband. Might as well lose his money too. The drunk guys thought this was hilarious. Marcus dealt without expression. I raised my bet to 200, won. 500 up. The woman lost 3 hands in a row. Didn't seem to care. 23 years, she said to no one. Found him with his secretary. How's that for a cliche? 600 up. 7. I was back in rhythm, the cards cooperating. 800. The drunk guys started copying my bets, riding my streak. 900 up. You're on fire, one of them said, buying me a shot of whiskey I didn't want but drank anyway. 1,000 up. I should stop here, pay off 4,000 of the 5,000 debt, walk away only 1,000 down. But the cards were finally working, and 1,000 wouldn't fix anything. Emma still needed her medicine, her therapy, a real bed. I bet 500. Got blackjack. The payout made it 1,700 up. Let's go. The drunk guys cheered. The crying woman had stopped crying, was playing mechanically now, $100 hands that won and lost without pattern. She ordered another vodka, her third since sitting down. 2,000 up. I was even with the second credit line. If I could just win another 1,000, I'd be ahead for the night. Marcus announced he was shuffling, always a momentum killer. The drunk guys decided to take a break, headed to the bar. The crying woman stayed, staring at nothing. New shoe, new possibilities. I bet 300. Lost. Another 300. Lost. The cards had turned again, or maybe they'd never really turned at all. Down to 1,000 profit. 500. Even with the second credit line again. Men are all the same. The crying woman said suddenly. You all think you can fix everything with one more bet, one more chance, one more lie. She was looking at me when she said it. The crying woman was right, but being right didn't stop me from pushing another 300 forward. I got 12 against Marcus's ace. The worst possible hand. Insurance? No. Hit. I hit. 10. 22. Bust. Down 300 from the second credit line. 4,700 total debt now. You know what my husband said? The crying woman continued. Vodka slurring her words slightly. He said the secretary made him feel lucky. 23 years. And he needed to feel lucky. She won her next hand, didn't smile. I lost mine. The casino was down to maybe 30 people total. All of us past the point of entertainment, deep into something else. My phone was dead, couldn't check the time. Marcus's movements seemed slower, like time was stretching. The woman ordered another. Vodka. I bet another 300, lost to a dealer 21. Down to 1100. The math kept running. 5,000 owed, monthly payments of 500, Emma's medications 420 every month, therapy twice a week at 200 per session. No equation worked. I'm done, the crying woman announced, pushing her remaining chips forward on one hand. She had about 800 riding on it. Got 20. Marcus had 19. She laughed, bitter and sharp. See? Leave when you're ahead. That's the secret. She took her 1,600 and walked away, steadier than she should have been. I was alone with Marcus now. The table minimum raised to $50 for the final hour. I had 1,100 left. 22 hands if I bet the minimum. But minimums wouldn't dig me out of this hole. I bet 200, got 16, stayed against Marcus's 5. He busted. Back to 1,300. Last shoe of the night, Marcus announced. 4:30 a.m. The casino would close the tables at 5, count their money, calculate their wins. I bet 300. Won. 1,600. Another 300. Lost. Back to 13. The cards were just cards now. No pattern, no meaning. Just random events that determined whether my daughter would have her medicine. A crowd had gathered at the craps table. Someone on a hot streak. Their cheers felt like mockery. I bet 400. Nearly a third of my remaining chips. 19. Solid hand. Marcus showed 20.900 left. I looked at the chips, did the math one more time. 900 wouldn't matter. Either I won enough to make a difference, or I lost it. All. There was no middle ground anymore. All in, I said, pushing everything forward. Marcus paused. 900 total? Yes. The drunk guys had returned, saw my bet, started chanting, all in, all in. The cards came out. An 8. Then another 8. Pair of 8s against Marcus's. 7. I should split them, double my chance. But I didn't have more chips to split with. Can I split on credit? Marcus looked to the pit boss, who shook her head. Chips on the table only for splits and doubles. I had to play them as 16. Hit or stay against a 7. The book said hit. My gut said the same. Marcus waited. Hit. A 5. 21. The drunk guys erupted. Fucking clutch. Marcus flipped his whole card. 10. 17. I'd won. 900. Became 1,800. Not enough to fix everything, but enough to keep playing. Nice hand, Marcus said, paying out, but I was already doing the math. 1,800 plus one more win would be close to 4,000. Still down overall, but better than down 5,000. Let it ride, I heard myself say. 1,800 straight up. Marcus asked, his tone neutral but his eyes showing something. Concern? Recognition? He'd seen this moment before, probably hundreds of times. Let it ride. I repeated. The drunk guys fell silent. Even drunk, they recognized this wasn't fun anymore. This was something else. The cards came out slowly, or maybe that was just my perception. Everything had narrowed to this moment. These cards, this hand. A jack first, then a 7. 17. Not great, but not terrible against Marcus's 5. Showing that I stood. Marcus flipped his whole card. Another 5. 10. He had to hit. The next card would determine everything. Whether I'd walk out with 3,600 or nothing. He reached for the card. Time stopped. The casino noise faded to white static. He pulled it, turned it, king. 20. He'd made 20. The chips disappeared into Marcus's tray. $1,800 vanishing in the time it took to flip a card. The second credit line was gone. $5,000 in total debt. Nothing left. Tough beat. One of the drunk guys said quietly. I sat there staring at the empty felt. Around me, the casino continued its eternal rhythm. The craps table cheered another win. A slot machine sang its jackpot song. Marcus was already shuffling for the next hand, even though I had nothing left to bet. You okay, man? The other drunk guy asked that I wasn't okay. I was $5,000 in debt to a casino. Emma needed her medication in 3 days. Rent was due in a week. My phone was dead. Mrs. Chun was waiting with Emma, and I'd gambled away money that wasn't mine to lose. The cage is still open if you need to handle your markers, Marcus said quietly. Markers. Such a clean word for such a messy thing. I stood up, legs unsteady. The drunk guys had already forgotten me, celebrating because one of them got blackjack. The casino moved on without pause. I walked to the cage, each step feeling like walking toward my own execution. The cashier was a different person from earlier, fresh for the morning shift. She pulled up my account without expression. 5,000 in markers. Would you like to set up a payment plan? Yes. She printed out papers. Payment schedules. Legal obligations. Consequences for default. 500 a month for 12 months, with interest. The first payment due in 30 days. Sign here, initial here, and here. I signed. What else could I do? The debt existed whether I acknowledged it or not. The casino offers resources for problem gambling, she said, sliding a pamphlet across. If you need help. I took the pamphlet, folded it, put it in my pocket with the payment schedule. Outside, the sky was starting to lighten. 5 a.m. The parking lot was almost empty, just a few cars belonging to people like me who'd stayed until the end. The Ford Taurus wouldn't start. The battery clicked but wouldn't turn over. Of course, I sat there in the driver's seat, in a dead car, with a dead phone, owing $5,000 I didn't have, needing to face my daughter who was waiting for medicine I couldn't buy. I tried the engine again. Nothing. The universe's final insult for the night. Or morning. Or whatever this had become. I found $5 in quarters in the cup holder and under the seats. Emergency toll money I'd forgotten about. Enough for gas if the car would start, not enough for a tow. I popped the hood, checked. The battery connections like that might magically fix everything. A security guard rolled by in his golf cart. Need a jump? Yeah, thanks. He pulled around, attached the cables. The Taurus coughed, sputtered, finally caught. The gas light immediately came on. 5 miles to empty, the dashboard claimed. You all right to drive? The guard asked, and I realized how I must look. Wrinkled clothes, shaking hands, the hollow eyes of someone who'd lost more than money. I'm fine. He watched me pull out, probably making sure I didn't crash in their parking lot. The $5 in quarters got me 2 gallons at the 24-hour Arco. Enough to get home, maybe. The drive back was a blur of shame and calculation. 5,000 owed. 2,800 monthly income. 1,200 rent. No savings. No assets left to sell except the car that barely ran. Emma's medications due Monday. Custody hearing Monday afternoon. The Taurus died on the Riverside Avenue exit ramp. Just stopped. No warning. Like it had given everything it had and couldn't give anymore. I coasted to the shoulder, tried the engine. Nothing. The sun was coming up now, revealing the city in harsh morning light. I started walking 0.2 miles to the apartment. My dress shoes weren't made for walking, started cutting into my heels after the first quarter mile. I passed early morning joggers who gave me wide berths, probably thinking I was drunk or homeless or both. A text would have helped explain to Mrs. Chun, but my phone was dead. She'd been watching Emma for 10 hours now. $60 in overtime I didn't have. I passed the 7-Eleven where I usually bought Emma's snacks for school. Past the check cashing place that would give me $300 for my next paycheck if I paid them back for $100. Past the pawn shop that already had my watch, my guitar, anything worth selling. By the time I reached our apartment complex, my feet were bleeding inside my shoes. The security door was propped open with a rock. The lock had been broken for months. I climbed the 2 flights to our unit, each step announcing my failure. Mrs. Chen opened the door before I could knock. Tommy. Not angry, just disappointed. Behind her, I could see Emma on the pull-out couch, awake, still in yesterday's clothes. I'm sorry. The car broke down. My phone died. Emma stood up, wobbly on her bad leg. Dad, are you okay? I wasn't okay. I was $5,000 in debt, had no car, no money for her medicine, no way to get her to therapy on Tuesday. But she was looking at me with such concern, like I was the one who needed taking care of. I'm fine, baby. Just tired. Mrs. Chun waited. I pulled out the $20 I'd given her earlier. This is all I have right now. I'll get you the rest on Tuesday when I get paid. She took the 20, looked at Emma, then back at me. Tuesday, she said, and left. Emma limped over to me. Did you win? The question broke something inside me. She thought I'd been playing poker with friends, having fun, maybe winning enough to buy her the new resistance band she needed. No, baby. Not tonight. She hugged me anyway, and I could smell the sleep on her, the medicine on her skin, the shampoo we bought at the dollar store. It's okay, Dad. You'll win next time. There wouldn't be a next time. Couldn't be. But I just held her and nodded, calculating how many hours of overtime I'd need to work to make the minimum payment, knowing the math would never work, that I'd broken something that couldn't be fixed with overtime or payment plans or promises. Let's get you back to bed, I said. You need rest for therapy Tuesday. If we could even get to therapy. If I could afford therapy. If I still had custody after Monday's hearing. The sun was fully up now, streaming through our one window, illuminating everything I was about to lose. I helped Emma back to the pull-out couch, her weight against me barely anything. She'd lost weight. Since the surgery, muscle mass she couldn't rebuild with Walmart resistance bands. I sat on the floor beside her, my back against the couch, still in my casino clothes that now smelled like desperation and cigarette smoke. Dad, your shoes are torn. I looked down. The sole was separating from the leather, probably from the 2-mile walk. $40 shoes from Payless, supposed to last 6 months, dead after one night. Just wear and tear, I said. She was quiet for a moment. Mrs. Chun said Mom called 3 times. Sarah, the custody hearing was in 48 hours. She'd have her lawyer, Brad's money, evidence of stability. I'd have torn shoes and casino debt. I'll call her back. She sounded worried. Worried or angry. After 12 years together, 3 years divorced, Sarah's emotions had started to sound the same. I found my phone charger, plugged in the dead phone. It buzzed immediately with messages. Sarah, where are you? Sarah, Mrs. Chun says you're not home. Sarah, if you're gambling again, I swear to God, Tommy. Sarah, call me immediately. I deleted them without listening to the voicemails. Emma had fallen back asleep. Her breathing labored from the medication. I watched her chest rise and fall, counted the seconds between breaths like I had in the hospital. The apartment felt smaller in daylight. 330 square feet. The pull-out couch took up most of the living room. My sleeping bag in the corner. Emma's medications lined up on the kitchen counter like in pharmacy. The resistance bands hanging from the doorknob, fraying where they'd been overused. I opened my laptop, checked my bank account. $43 until Tuesday's direct deposit. The casino payment schedule was in my pocket, but I couldn't look at it. Not yet. Emma stirred, whimpered in her sleep. Pain or bad dreams, I couldn't tell anymore. I gave her the morning dose of medication with the last of the orange juice, watched her swallow pills that cost more than I made in a day. I need to pick up some overtime today, I said. It's Saturday. I know, baby, but we need the money. She nodded, used to me working. Weekends now. Can Mrs. Chun watch me? Mrs. Chun, who I owed $40 to. I'll figure something out. My phone buzzed. Sarah again. Your car is being towed from the freeway. What the hell happened? The tow would cost $200 I didn't have. Impound fees. Storage fees. Everything had a fee when you were broke. Saturday afternoon, I worked a double shift at the warehouse. Told my supervisor I needed the overtime for medical bills, which was true, just not the whole truth. My feet bled through my socks from the torn shoes, but I kept loading trucks, scanning packages, pretending everything was normal. Emma stayed with Mrs. Chin again. Another $40 I didn't have, added to the $40 I already owed. She didn't complain, just looked at me with that expression that said she knew exactly what was happening. Your ex-wife called me, Mrs. Chin said when I dropped Emma off. Asked about your habits. What did you tell her? The truth. That you're out late on Fridays. That you come home looking defeated. The truth. Sarah's lawyer would love the truth that I worked until midnight, body automatic, mind calculating. The overtime would add maybe $200 to my check. Not enough for Emma's medications. Not enough for the casino payment. Not enough for anything. During break, I sat in the parking lot and called the pharmacy. Can I get a payment plan for my daughter's prescriptions? I'm sorry, Mr. Reeves. You already have an outstanding balance of $600. We can't extend more credit. $600 I'd forgotten about. Another debt in the pile. My supervisor found me in the break room, staring at nothing. Tommy, you okay? You seem off. Just tired. Look, I know things are tough with your daughter. If you need help, I'm fine. He didn't believe me, but what could he do? He made $45,000 a year, had his own kids, his own problems. Everyone was drowning at their own depth. I worked until my shift ended, then stayed to help unload an emergency shipment. Another $50. Blood money from my bleeding feet. When I finally got home, walking again, no car. Emma was asleep on Mrs. Chen's couch. I carried her upstairs, light as a bird, bones prominent through her pajamas. "Dad," she whispered, "did you work hard?" "Yeah, baby." "Good. We need the money for my medicine." She knew. Of course she knew. Kids always know more than we think. Sunday was the same. Double shift. Bleeding feet. Mrs. Chun watching Emma. The debt growing. I sold my television on Craigslist for $80. My PlayStation for $50. The apartment got emptier as the hours passed. Monday morning came too fast. The custody hearing was at 2 p.m. I had no car to get there, no money for an Uber, no dress shoes that weren't destroyed. The casino called at 8 a.m., a friendly reminder about my payment due in 29 days. "I know," I said. "We also wanted to inform you about our responsible gaming resources." I hung up. I took the bus to the courthouse, wearing my warehouse uniform because my good clothes were still wrinkled from Friday night. The courthouse security guard looked at me with pity when I emptied my pockets. Just keys to an apartment I'd probably lose, a dead phone, and the casino payment schedule I couldn't stop carrying. Sarah was already there with Brad and their lawyer. Brad wore a suit that cost more than I made in 2 months. Sarah wouldn't make eye contact. She knew what I'd done without me saying anything. 12 years together taught you someone's failures by their posture. "Mr. Reeves," the judge began, reading from a folder. "I see you're 3 months behind on child support. I've been paying for my daughter's medical expenses directly, without documentation. And you're currently employed?" "Yes, Your Honor. Warehouse supervisor. Living in a studio apartment where your daughter sleeps on a couch." Sarah's lawyer had done his homework. Photos of our apartment, Emma's medications scattered on the counter, my sleeping bag in the corner. It looked exactly as bad as it was. "It's temporary," I said. "Like the bankruptcy 8 years ago was temporary." Sarah's lawyer interjected. "Mr. Reeves has a pattern of financial instability." Brad whispered something to Sarah. She nodded, stood up. "Your Honor, we're not trying to punish Tommy. We want what's best for Emma. She needs stability during her recovery. Proper equipment. Her own room. Consistent care. All things I couldn't provide. Mr. Reeves, can you provide documentation of your ability to meet your daughter's medical needs?" I thought about the $5,000 I owed the casino, the $600 to the pharmacy, the impounded car, the bleeding feet, and my destroyed shoes. "I'm working overtime. I can. That's not documentation, Mr. Reeves." The judge reviewed more papers. Emma's medical records. The physical therapy reports noting she was using substandard equipment. My work schedule showing I was gone 60 hours a week. Temporary. Custody is awarded to Mrs. Sarah Mitchell, effective immediately. "Mr. Reeves, you'll have supervised visitation Saturdays, 2 to 5 p.m. We'll review in 6 months." 6 months. Emma would be walking normally by then, recovered in Brad's house. With Brad's money and Brad's pool for therapy. She'd forget the nights we played cards in the hospital, the promises I made, the father I used to be. "Mr. Reeves, do you understand?" I nodded. What else could I do? Outside the courthouse, Sarah finally spoke to me. "Tommy, what happened?" "Mrs. Chin said you didn't come home until dawn. Car trouble." "Don't lie to me." "Not now." She looked tired, older. The divorce had aged us both. "Were you gambling?" "It doesn't matter now. It matters to Emma. She loves you, Tommy. But love isn't enough when you can't provide for her." Brad brought their Lexus around. New, white, perfect. Everything I wasn't. Emma didn't cry when I told her she'd be living with Mom. She just nodded, like she'd been expecting it. We packed her things, the stuffed elephant from the hospital, her medications, the Walmart resistance bands she'd never have to use again. "Is it because I cost too much?" she asked, folding her 3 good shirts. "No, baby. Never think that. Mom's boyfriend has a pool. She says I can do my therapy in it." "That's good. That's really good." She looked around our empty apartment, now even emptier without the TV, without the PlayStation, without anything that made it feel like home. "Will you be okay here alone?" An 11-year-old worried about her father. I'd failed so completely she was parenting me. "I'll be fine. You should get your car fixed." "I will." Brad waited in the parking lot, didn't come up. Sarah did, looked at the apartment, said nothing. What was there to say? The evidence was everywhere, in what was missing, in what remained, in the payment schedule on the counter I'd forgotten to hide. She saw it, picked it up. $5,000? Tommy, what did you do? I tried to win. With Emma's money. With everything. She put the paper down carefully, like it might explode. Get help, Tommy. Real help. Not promises, not overtime, not whatever you think will fix this. Help. Emma hugged me at the door. I could feel her ribs through her shirt, the bones of someone fighting to heal while I'd been fighting to lose. I'll see you Saturday, I said. It's okay, Dad. I know you tried. That was worse than anger. That she thought trying was enough. That failure was acceptable if you meant well. I watched them drive away, Emma waving from the back seat until they turned the corner. The apartment was silent. No TV noise, no PlayStation sounds, no daughter practicing therapy. Just me and the payment schedule and the walls closing in. Tuesday, the casino called again. Wednesday, a letter arrived. Thursday, another call, less friendly. By Friday, they were using words like legal action and wage garnishment. I worked every shift available, slept 3 hours a night, ate ramen twice a day. My supervisor pulled me aside, concerned about my performance. The other workers avoided me, could smell the desperation. Saturday came. My supervised visitation. I took 3 buses to get to McDonald's, the agreed-upon neutral location. Emma was already there with Sarah, drinking a milkshake Brad had bought. She showed me videos on Sarah's phone, her therapy in Brad's pool, her new room with a real bed, the resistance bands that actually worked. She was getting better without me. I'm proud of you, I said. Dad, are you eating? I'd lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. The warehouse uniform hung on me like a costume. I'm fine. Sarah watched from another table, making sure I didn't do anything destructive. As if I had anything left to destroy. 6 weeks passed in a blur of overtime and collection calls. The casino had moved from friendly reminders to legal threats. My wages were garnished, 25% off the top, before taxes, before anything. The paycheck that was never enough became impossible. I got evicted on a Tuesday. 30 days notice, but I'd known it was coming. No way to pay $1,200 in rent when the garnishment took $500, when Emma's support took another $300, when eating took whatever was left at my supervisor called me into his office. Tommy, the company's gotten 3 calls from collection agencies this week. I'm handling it. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're falling apart. You're making mistakes, showing up exhausted, scaring the other workers. I need this job. I know. That's why I'm suggesting you take some time. Get your affairs in order. Your position will be here when you're ready. Unpaid leave. A polite way of firing someone you felt sorry for. I moved into my car, retrieved from impound with a payday loan I'd never pay back. Living in a Ford Taurus that barely ran, showering at the gym until they revoked my membership for non-payment, eating at the food bank when pride allowed. Emma didn't know. Our supervised visits continued at McDonald's, Sarah telling her I was staying with a friend. She was walking normally now, swimming every day in Brad's pool, getting straight A's at her new school with kids who didn't make fun of her gait. Dad, you look tired, she said one Saturday. Just working hard. Mom says you're sick. I'm getting better. She hugged me, and I could feel she was stronger now, muscle returning, the surgery a success even if everything else was failure. Brad's money had bought what my love couldn't. Recovery. The bankruptcy lawyer was honest. This is your second filing in 10 years. The court will see a pattern. Casino debt isn't always dischargeable, especially if they can prove you never intended to pay. I intended to win. That's not intention to pay, Mr. Reeves. $500 to file, money I didn't have. I sold plasma twice a week, $40 a visit, lightheaded and hollow. The casino moved forward with legal proceedings. A court date was set. I drove past San Manuel one night, parked across the street, watched people walking in with hope, walking out with nothing. The neon promised everything, delivered nothing, would continue forever. I in the car, I found the pamphlet the cashier had given me. Resources for problem gambling. A phone number. I called from a pay phone outside 7-Eleven. My name is Tommy, I said when someone answered. I lost everything. That's the first step, the voice said. Admitting it. Can you come to a meeting? A meeting. Sitting with other people who'd done what I'd done, lost what I'd lost. It seemed both pointless and necessary. Yeah, I said. I can come. The meeting was in a church basement, fluorescent. Lights flickering over folding chairs arranged in a circle. 8 people, various ages. all with the same hollow look I saw in my rearview mirror. Coffee that tasted like disappointment. Cookies someone's sponsor had brought. "I'm Marcus," the facilitator said, and for a moment I thought it was my dealer. But no, different Marcus, this one 10 years clean. Would anyone like to share? A woman talked about losing her house. A young guy described stealing from his mother. An older man just cried. When it came to me, I almost passed, then heard myself talking. "I'm Tommy. I lost 5,000 in one night. It was my daughter's medical money." No one judged. They'd all been there, different details, same story. "What made you stop?" Marcus asked. "I haven't stopped. I'm banned now, but only because I have no money left. If I had $5, I'd probably be there instead of here." "That's honest," someone said. "That's good." After the meeting, Marcus gave me his number. "Call when you want to go. Don't go." I went to 3 meetings that week, living in my car, pretending for Emma that everything was fine. The stories were all the same. Started small, got bigger, lost everything, sometimes found something after the casino court date arrived. I wore my warehouse uniform, the only clothes left that weren't destroyed. The casino's lawyer presented evidence: my income, my play history, the credit applications where I'd lied about assets. Mr. Reeves took $5,000 with no ability or intention to pay. He argued why public defender, overworked and underprepared, tried. Mr. Reeves has a gambling addiction. He needs treatment, not punishment. The judge had heard it all before. Judgment for the plaintiff: $5,000, plus interest and legal fees. Total judgment: $7,300. More than I'd make in 3 months if I still had a job. Outside the courthouse, I called Marcus from the meeting. "I want to go to the casino. Come to my place instead." I did. We played cards, not for money, just cards. Go fish, like I'd taught. Emma in the hospital. No stakes except time passing without destruction. Days became weeks. I got a job at a different warehouse. Didn't mention the garnishments waiting. Slept in the car. Saved everything. Paid what I could to who I could. Emma grew stronger in her mother's care. One Tuesday, I drove to San Manuel again. Not to gamble. I was on the exclusion list, but to face it. I walked to the entrance, looked. At the doors I'd walked through hundreds of times. Diane was leaving, shift over. She recognized me, stopped. "Mr. Reeves. How are you?" "Surviving." "Good. That's good." She paused. "I'm sorry about it. It's not your fault. You tried to warn me. I see it every day. People thinking they can beat math." "Yeah." She walked to her car, turned back. "Your daughter. Is she okay?" "She's better. Living with her mom now." Diane nodded, understanding everything in those words. "Take care, Mr. Reeves." I stood in the casino parking lot as the sun rose, the same view I'd seen that night 6 months ago when I lost everything. But now I was seeing it clearly. The careful architecture designed to trap, the promises that were lies, the mathematics that always favored the house that a crow landed on a shopping cart someone had abandoned. It pecked at something, found nothing, flew away. Smart enough to leave when there was nothing left to take. That I thought about Emma in Brad's pool, getting stronger every day. She'd sent me a video through Sarah's phone, swimming laps, walking without a limp, laughing. The surgery had worked. The recovery had worked. Everything had worked except me. The bankruptcy filing would discharge most of the casino debt, though. It would destroy what was left of my credit for another decade. The second bankruptcy in 10 years, a pattern of failure written in legal documents. But numbers on paper seemed insignificant compared to what I'd really lost. Marcus from the meetings had been right. You don't lose money at a casino. You lose time. You lose relationships. You lose yourself, hand by hand. I turned away from the casino, faced the sun. The mountain shadows were shortening as morning arrived. The bus stop was 3 miles away, but I had time. Nothing but time now. Each step was deliberate, chosen. Not the desperate fleeing of that night 6 months ago, but conscious movement away from what I'd been, towards something unnamed but necessary. The exclusion was for 5 years. 5 years when I couldn't legally enter any casino in California. 5 years to become someone else, or at least not this version of myself. 5 years while Emma grew up in Brad's stable home. Maybe forgetting the father who'd gambled her away. But forgetting might be mercy. Better she remember the man who taught her cards in the hospital than the one who lost everything at a blackjack table. Better she know the father who tried than the one who succeeded only at failing. The bus arrived. door opening with a pneumatic hiss. I climbed on, found a seat among the early shift workers heading to jobs that would never pay enough but were still better than no job at all. Where to? The driver asked. Away from here. I said. He nodded like that was a destination he knew. Pulled away from the curb. Through the window, I watched the casino grow smaller, disappear behind buildings, become memory. My phone buzzed. Sarah, Emma wants to know if you're coming Saturday. I typed back. Yes. Always yes. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't recovery. It was just movement, away from the tables, towards something that might someday feel like forgiveness. Emma would be 12 soon, then 13, then grown. The years would pass whether I healed or not. The bus rumbled through Riverside's awakening streets. Workers boarding, students with backpacks, everyone carrying their own weight of survival. I was just another passenger now, another person who'd lost something, trying to figure out what came after the losing. The casino would stand forever, its lights always promising, its mathematics always winning. But I wouldn't be there to see it. 5 years banned. Maybe a lifetime if I was strong enough. The bus pulled away, carrying me toward whatever came next. The sun climbed higher, burning off the morning marine layer, revealing the city in all its broken beauty, and I was still here to see it, still here, still breathing, still Emma's father, even if from a distance. That IT would have to be enough.